Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, a show where I cover the Leafs in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is April 3rd, and again, dog days of recording, not a ton happening, not a lot happening, but I still got a good show. This show, live mock draft, just finished recording it with Chu and Tom. There were some good picks. There were some interesting picks. I called Chu out for one of them because, as always, he went off the board. What's new? But yeah, so that is going to be the bulk of this episode. As always, I'll start off with the NFL Weekly Update. But I got a little update myself, and if you're watching online or if you can see in the clips, I got new wall art stuff. Over here, we got Ray Lewis holding up Ed Reed, two Hall of Famers. This is just old jerseys throughout the years. Over here, we got Shaq. Next to Shaq, we got Dolly Parton and Jane Fonda. What else is in the background? Can't really see it, but we got Marv Levy and Don Shula in their kick-ass starter jackets from the 90s. Next to that, it got Len Dawson smoking a cigarette at the Super Bowl halftime. So yeah, added to the wall will keep on growing. I gotta find a nice little small picture to go in the middle there, but again, it's a podcast, so listen to that, just visualize all these nice pictures behind me in the background. And I do got a little bit of a life update too. I teased it a couple weeks ago where I got something involved with CFL, and you are now officially listening to the ratio spotter for the Ottawa Redblacks. What does that mean? It means that I will be making sure that our good Canadian boys get the playing time on the field that they deserve. If you don't know, the CFL does this thing where, because it's the Canadian Football League, Canadians need to take a certain amount of starter jobs. I might be explaining this wrong. I don't really know. But either way, as the ratio spotter, I will be tracking the international players, because apparently there's a snap count where they can only play a certain amount of snaps in a row until they got to get pulled. So I will be counting those snaps for the guys down on the field. I'll have someone there with me. But yeah, official employee of the CFL. Woo. Yeah, very excited about that, to say that I'm getting paid to watch football games. Yeah, so a little bit of big news, but yeah, I don't think I have much to update else on, because that's a pretty big update. But regardless, let's get into the NFL Weekly Update here. Starting off with some bad news, anyways. Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice. Nothing's really happened yet in terms of an arrest or a warrant out for his arrest, but essentially Rashee Rice and a buddy were racing down the highway, one in a Lamborghini, one in a Corvette. They caused a 6-car accident on the highway, and they just left. And when I read that at first, I was like, oh, they drove their cars away and they left? No, they just got out of their cars, walked down the highway, see ya. It really just pisses me off. I don't know how, especially like, he was a rookie who just won the Super Bowl, and you're pissing your career away, like, at this point. It's disappointing. Like, you want these players to have, like, a better head on their shoulders, because, like, something like that is the most avoidable thing, and we saw with Henry Ruggs, who ended up killing a person for driving recklessly, and he was under the influence and all that stuff, but, like, it's sad. It just shouldn't happen. It should be a very avoidable thing. And I don't know what this means now for Rashee Rice. I wouldn't be shocked if he's suspended like half the season, because he fled the scene of a crime, essentially. What do I know? I'm not a lawyer. I just talk about football into a microphone. But yeah, had to start off with that. He's obviously retained counsel. His lawyer put out a kind of nothing statement that they're cooperating with the authorities. The NFL hasn't said anything about it. The Chiefs haven't said anything about it. So I guess I will give an update when an update needs to be had. We will keep going, though. Hassan Reddick has been traded to the Jets for a conditional third, conditional 2026 third. That third can get turned into a second based off playing time. The Jets are essentially going all in because they kind of need to. This was essentially a trade. It was Bryce Huff and a 2026 third, which could be a 2026 round second, so Bryce Huff and a third round pick, which could be a second, to the Eagles for Hassan Reddick. Not great optically. I'll start off with the Jets. I think Hassan Reddick is still a great player. I think that he will add a much added punch to this defensive line. I think when Matt Patricia started being the play caller for the Eagles last year, Reddick's production dropped because he just wasn't being used properly. He was told not to rush the quarterback, and that's what he does. He's a fucking pass rusher. However, I just think asset management from Joe Douglas, the Jets GM, has just been piss poor. I mean, you could have kept Bryce Huff, who was very good for you last year, a player the team drafted. I don't know if Joe Douglas actually drafted him, but a player the team drafted for cheaper. Like, Reddick only has 1 year left on his deal, but he will be looking for an extension. I doubt that he gets that extension. But I haven't been a fan of Joe Douglas basically since he made that trade for Rodgers. Since he was like, I'm putting all my chips in the middle of the table. We're going all in. And it really hasn't worked. And again, they're going all in for a reason. But if the Jets don't make the playoffs, which there's still a strong possibility, we have no idea what Aaron Rodgers is at this point. But I would put Joe Douglas firmly on the hot seat. I don't think he's done that great of a job as a general manager. He's made a lot of bad moves. I don't think this is a necessarily bad move, but asset management, the Eagles got Bryce Huff, who's the younger, very productive player on a cheaper deal than Hassan Reddick. Like, I don't know. Don't really get it. The Eagles on the other side, again, we're talking about it. They got Bryce Huff. They're expecting Nolan Smith to take that jump this year. Still got Josh Sweat. Still have Brandon Graham. I think those are their 4 edge rushers going into the year. Chu will tell you differently. Little bit of a wink, wink, hint, hint at the potential Eagles position they might pick there. But, yeah, I don't think I can really... We'll just keep moving on here. Sad news. Vontae Davis, cornerback for the Dolphins, for the Colts, and for the Bills, was found dead in his house, dead at 35. This is someone who I grew up watching. When I first started getting involved watching football, Vontae Davis was one of my favorite cornerbacks on the Dolphins, and he ended up having a good career. Dolphins ended up trading him to the Colts. For the Colts, he ended up being a 2-time Pro Bowler. And he goes over to the Bills, deals with the Bills for a couple seasons, and then he just quits at halftime. He's like, fuck this, I'm done. Got undressed, left his car at halftime, and he will always be a legend for retiring during the middle of the game. And that was only in 2018 when he called it quits for his career. And yeah, there's no, what I'm trying to say. Like, it wasn't, at fault, no. I'm messing up my words. There was no foul play involved, there we go, according to reports. But, way too young. 35, found dead. And it kind of falls back into a little bit on the NFLPA and the NFL, where you guys make so much money, and you got to take care of your former players. It's just, and again, who knows what was going on in Vontae in his personal health or his personal life and his mental health, but this seems like such an avoidable thing. It's tragic. It's sad. Vontae Davis, you will be missed. And I guess let's keep moving on. We have some contract signings, extensions here. Jadeveon Clowney signed a 2-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. He's going back home, or as close as home as he could get. He's from South Carolina, went to South Carolina for school, and now he is playing for Carolina Panthers. It's a fine move. I like Clowney. Clowney has been a good player basically his entire career. Very good run stuffer. Basically had a career year with the Ravens last year. I was hoping that he would go to a team that would potentially contending playoff push, but no, he gets to go home. He gets to play for technically his hometown team, but not really. It's a good move. I think it was a 2-year, like $24 million deal. I think it ends up being 12 AAV. Obviously, there's incentives baked in there and stuff too, but good signing. I just wish it wasn't the Panthers. We got an extension. Foye Oluokun of the Jags. I signed a 3-year, $45 million extension. Since he came over from the Rams, has consistently been one of the leading tacklers in the league, and he gets reimbursed for that. He gets a little bit of a nice payday, nice extension for him. Good on the Jags for keeping one of their own. I think one of their team captains on that defense. We'll see how that defense looks this year, but good for Foye. The Dolphins. Dolphins have given Raheem Mostert an extension. I've seen two different things. I've seen a 2-year extension, or I've seen he has 1 year left on his deal, and he's got another 1 year now. But I think it's up to $9 million for him. Mostert kind of just came on late in his career, like really started being like a proven starting running back in this league into his later 20s. He's now in his early 30s, and he's still good. He's still fast. I mean, obviously led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year. Happy to have him back and under contract for the Dolphins going into, I guess, 2026. 2025, never mind. There was also, we got some performance-based pay incentives came out. So what this is, so for lower round drafted players or UDFA players, the NFLPA started this thing where essentially you get bonuses for how much you play or how well you do or accolades and stuff like that. So I think John Simpson, former Raven, now Jet, he got close to $1 million added onto his already contract because he was a starter basically the entire year. I know Dolphins corner Kader Kohu made, I think, above $850,000 extra. He was a UDFA. And on the very, very bottom of this list, because apparently it also works for vets, I thought it was just kind of like players on their rookie contracts, but Aaron Rodgers got a whopping $81.50. That is the lowest marker of the year. Obviously, he only played 4 snaps. So, I'm shocked he even got anything. The fact that he got like above $50 is nuts. He played 4 snaps on the year, is what it is. But that's a thing that happened this past week. 2 other things. The Chiefs have signed rugby player Louis Rees-Zammit of, I think he's Welsh. But yeah, the 22-year-old, 6'3", I think he's 190, apparently runs a 4.4. I watched some of his rugby highlights. The man can fly. The Chiefs are signing him as a wide receiver. Obviously, he's going to be a project. He will not count against the 90-man roster going into training camp. If he is put on the practice squad, he will not count against the practice squad spot, since he is one of these international player program dudes. It's interesting, and I think it comes at a good time. We talked about these new kick return rules last week, and watching his rugby highlights, the man can find a hole. The man is fast. I think he will be their kick returner. I think he will be one of those two guys returning kicks for the Chiefs, and I think that he will be pretty damn good at it. Yeah, I think he also hit 24 miles per hour, like on like those like tracker things, which is faster than anyone in the NFL last year. Obviously, he's not wearing pads and a helmet and stuff, but yeah, dude is fast. He is built like a brick shit house too. We'll see what happens with this signing for the Chiefs, but I'm a fan. I think that he will be returning kicks for them last year, like the Niners and Jared Hayne, or the Bills had some guy too that I forget his name. Yeah. Speaking of rugby players, Travis Clayton, an ex-boxer and rugby player, he had a pro day. He's also British. He's 6'7", 301, and he ran a 4.7940. That obviously garners a lot of interest from NFL teams when you put up those numbers at that size. I don't know if he will be drafted, but this sounds like a project, much like Jordan Mailata was for the Eagles. I think some team with a great offensive line mind will just be like, fuck it, yeah, we'll take that guy in the sixth round. We'll see if he can be something for us. But obviously, he's got the size, him being a former boxer. He's got that footwork too. Let's see if he can put it all together. I don't know, but just another fun story there. And the final fun story for the NFL Weekly Update. Little bit not in my universe, but March Madness is obviously happening and ongoing, and one of the bigger stories, bigger literally, of the tournament has been NC State center DJ Burns. He's just been electric basically the entire tournament, even before that. And apparently he's garnering a little NFL buzz. Peter Schrager posted about it yesterday. I will say it was April Fool's, but I haven't seen anything to be like, haha, got you guys. And Jim Nagy, who runs the Senior Bowl, he also came out and said, he's like, no, this is a real thing. There is interest in DJ Burns. I think DJ Burns he's listed at 6'9", 275. I don't know if that's his height. I don't know if that's his real weight. But he does have the size. He would definitely need to hit that 300-pound mark if you would want to play in the NFL. But this is a guy who I don't know how much of an NBA future he has, where it would be a lot of work to make that transition, but it would be fun. I want more DJ Burns in my life, and this is a way for DJ Burns to be in my life. Yeah, that'll do it for the NFL Weekly Update. Let's go over to the live mock with Chu and Tom. Okay, mock draft time, and as I said in the intro, I got two special guests joining me. Chu and Tom are back. Two guys picking in the top 5 for their respective teams. Do we need to do intros? Do we need to talk about nothing's really happening in the NFL season? Do we just get straight into it?
I mean, we're going to talk about the Patriots pretty damn soon, so.
And the Chargers and the Bolts. Actually, there might be a trade. There might be a trade happening at 5. Don't you worry. Okay, well, Chu, the floor is yours. The Bears are up on the clock, and should it be a surprise, or we're going chalk?
The Justin Fields trade made it very, very obvious what this pick is going to be. I mean, there was some talk early on that maybe May or Daniels was going to be able to pass Caleb, but there's no shot that's happening. And Caleb's going to go 1 to the Bears. That's who they're going to take. And it's the right move. I mean, he's the best player that I've watched on tape. So, Caleb Williams, Chicago Bear. Can he take him to the promised land? Can he throw 4,000 yards for the first time in Chicago Bears history in his rookie year? He probably actually does, I think.
I think he does it his rookie year. I think he's going to be, which is also just wild for how long the Bears have been around, and never having a 4,000-yard passing quarterback is ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Poverty franchise through and through. I don't know. Is there really much to talk about Caleb Williams? Like, he's fantastic. He does everything that you want in this modern day type of quarterback. He's fantastic. Like surefire 1-1 pick, easy.
Okay, what do you guys think though? Is he the best prospect since who? Like, is he better than Trevor? Is he better than Luck? You know?
I think Luck's a better
Not better.
prospect, but I
Yep.
would probably have him ahead of Lawrence, but not at Luck's level.
Yeah, I think Trevor was actually probably the highest for me. I think Trevor was a little bit better. Just with his
Yeah, I'd
size
go.
and stature.
Yeah, Luck 1. I'd put Caleb 2, and then just the way the league is going and having that mobility is just such a huge plus. Where Lawrence has it, but it's not to the same degree. And then Lawrence 3. Yeah, okay. I guess let's just go right into the Washington pick. They need a QB, and if I was the GM, if I was Adam Peters, Drake May would be the pick. I think Drake May is the better quarterback. But I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels because I think that everything that they have done so far in the offseason with hiring Cliff Kingsbury, getting Marcus Mariota to be the backup, they seem to want a mobile QB, and Jaden Daniels is that guy. I don't know how well it works out if he has to play week 1. At least he's got some weapons with Terry McLaurin, Austin Eckler, the best running back in football. But yeah, Jaden Daniels is the pick here. Is what it is.
I mean,
he's not the best running back in football. Come on.
So I don't know.
He's the best at getting 1.3 yards. Gary.
I think Jaden Daniels will be fine. I don't think he's going to be as good as people are making him seem to be. All I'm hearing is Lamar Jackson, but a better passer coming out of college. I don't see it. I really think he benefited from being in that LSU offense, having 2 of the best receivers in the nation. And you know what? When he played good teams, he got peppered, right? I know it was week 1, but Florida State shut them down pretty badly. And I just think, again, well, I'll talk about the next pick, but you're passing up on an opportunity to take. I know he's very raw talent, but could be the next Justin Herbert type of quarterback. I think that's the kind of guy that you want to take to build your franchise. So unless no one else has anything to comment on, I'll go into the Patriots pick at 3, which I'm not going to trade out of, despite there being a lot of rumors of them possibly moving down if they don't get their guy. I don't know who their guy is. I don't know if anyone knows who their guy is, but I think they're going to stick and pick. And if Drake May falls to 3 here, I think they're running to the podium and making the selection. Again, I'll talk in the chat. I'll prop up JJ McCarthy. I do think he's going to be a very good quarterback. I'm mostly just trying to get the propaganda going so that there could be 4 quarterbacks in the top 5 for obvious reasons. But that's besides the fact. So no, Drake May's the pick at 3. They're getting calls. They're not taking any of them. I don't think there's enough that could be offered to pass on Drake May.
Yeah, I completely agree. If Drake May's there at 3, I think that's a home run for the Patriots. And I think that's going to be the pick. I'm sure. I mean, I cannot see the Patriots seeing a guy like Drake May in his size and the arm and even the legs. I mean, it's one of the more underrated parts is he actually does like run a lot, and he can run people over. Maybe wiggle past a slow linebacker. Everything's there with Drake May. It's just going to come down to can he consistently be accurate at the NFL level, and I think he can. And that was a lot of the talk about Herbert coming out was people said he wasn't very accurate, and he couldn't run an NFL offense. Well, it happened, and he can. So I do like the comp. I think Justin Herbert is Josh Allen and Justin Herbert sort of put together with. I mean, he does make reckless decisions with the football like Josh Allen does, but it's at a more tame, less. I mean, every throw on 3rd down is into 2 defenders. I mean, there's less of that, but it's a kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah, if I'm the Patriots, it's first of all, you guys need a lot on the roster, so trading back, they're definitely thinking about it, but I believe Drake May is a franchise guy. I think the Patriots believe he's a franchise guy. And you don't pass on a franchise QB because I think if the Patriots trade down, they'll draft a wide receiver, they'll draft another tackle or something like that. I think Jacoby Brissett's good enough to get them close to that 7-8 win marker like on the year. And then trying to trade up for a quarterback is nearly impossible. And the amount of assets that you have to give up, like take the quarterback. You always take the quarterback. If it doesn't work out, oh no, you got to find another one. It is what it is. But Drake May should be the pick, obviously. I will add, though, let's say Vikings trade 11, 23, and Justin Jefferson. Is that a yes?
I think that's a
Of
yes.
course.
That's a yes.
Okay.
If that's the
Okay.
offer,
And then
if that's the
Penix
offer,
goes
you-
11.
yeah. So then you gotta have. I know you gotta try and have a target in mind, but again, like maybe you just say, okay, we're building the roster this year, and then. But I think like they can build a good enough roster to not be so poor next year with a guy like Jacoby Brissett. So that's the risk you're taking here, and it's there's some names in next year's draft, but like, are there any guaranteed? They're going to be a franchise guys at quarterback. I'm not necessarily sure. I don't think they got the same steam as this year. So
Only Shador Sanders.
yeah, like
Carson Beck. What are we talking about here?
Shador, like Ewers, a couple guys. We'll see what happens, but I
Yeah.
think you stick and pick and you take Drake May here.
Agreed. All right, number 4 on the clock. We got the Cardinals. Chew, is this a trade back spot?
Hell
is this
no.
a JJ
They're
McCarthy?
taking
We're
Marvin
going 4
Harrison
straight QBs.
running to the podium.
The Vikings
Marvin
are
Harrison
offering
Jr.
11,
just made it to
23.
4th overall. We're taking him, and Kyler Murray's gonna chuck that thing deep.
Well,
Yeah. I will add that if there would have been a trade, the Vikings trade up, they get JJ McCarthy, whatever. Me with the Chargers pick, I would have traded back with the Cardinals and they still would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. So this just works out well. But yeah, Marv is the number 1 receiver in the draft. He does everything that you could possibly want for a wide receiver. You got to give Kyler, if you're sticking with him and whatever his fucking contract's at, but you got to give him a number 1 target, and Marv is that guy. You can't say a bad thing about him. So I think that's the easy pick for sure.
Marvin Harrison is a guaranteed number 1 receiver. It's AJ Green. It's Julio Jones. He comes into the league and dominates every snap. You got to double him. They won't double him because he's a rookie week 1 and he's going to get 150 yards, and then they're going to double him. But Marvin Harrison is the best receiver prospect in years.
I do
Yeah.
believe when executives do say that some teams have Malik Neighbors at 1, I do believe it and I do see it to a certain extent. But I think for just looking at the wide receiver room that the Cardinals have right now, the best fit is Marvin Harrison. So let him thrive there.
Okay. Let's keep going. Number 5, we got the Chargers here. And the Chargers will be trading back. We'll be trading back with the Vikings. Let's just say Chargers get 11 and 23.
And the third next year. That's the pick.
Sure.
I'm processing it right now.
Okay. We won't overcomplicate things. So the Vikings are now on the clock at number 5, and the Vikings are taking JJ McCarthy. They obviously need a quarterback. They cannot roll into the year with Sam Darnold as QB1. There's a lot of things to like about JJ on tape. He shows NFL throws maybe once or twice a game, not a lot, but he does make them. But now the differences in college is he goes to the NFL, and now you're asking him, okay, instead of 2 to 3 throws you make a game, you got to make 20 to 30. That's a huge jump. And I think that like the JJ conversation about all the hype that he has should be going towards Drake May. Like realistically, I think JJ has a limited ceiling. Like I don't think that he will ever be a top 5 quarterback in the league. I think his ceiling is probably hovering around that top 10 mark, which isn't a bad thing. Like top 10, if he lives up to that, that's a franchise QB in my mind. But yeah, the pick doesn't wow me, but you can't go into Sam Darnold like starting. So JJ McCarthy is the 4th QB off the board.
I mean, me personally, I don't see JJ McCarthy going in the top 10. I think it's all kind of made up, and teams like JJ McCarthy when it comes to draft day? Are they going to pull the trigger on making JJ McCarthy a top 10 pick in the new face of their franchise? I think we're going to see something a little bit like Will Levis last year.
I'll say this for JJ McCarthy though. In games where he had to throw the ball, he threw the ball well. He does have very good arm talent. He's very mobile. And you know what? I hear it all the time. People value wins. You know, he played on a winning football team for a few years now, and he got it done. He got his championship, regardless if it was you want to pin it all on the defense or pin it on the running game. They didn't have to throw the ball in the second half a lot this year, which really just jacks down his production. So, I mean, he played on a very good football team, and again, that's going to compromise his production. But I think he has the ability, and he's going to be a momentum changer and face of a franchise for years to come. I think he's got it. He got the coaching. He's coming from the Harbaugh trees. I think he's ready to roll. So I think this is a great pick for the Vikings. I will say though, it is going to take a haul to move down from 5 if I'm the Chargers, because I'm looking at the vacancies in their wide receiver room, and I think Malik Neighbors is that good of a player. So they're really going to need to be swayed to move down and pass on a Jamar Chase type of prospect, as far as I'm concerned. So if the pick is, I mean, if the trade's right, the trade's right, but it's not going to be as easy as people are making it out to seem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I will say, and I was just kind of thinking about it, I think not a comp physically, because obviously they're very different, but I think that JJ McCarthy and Justin Herbert in college, kind of similar in the sense where Herbert wasn't asked to really do much at Oregon. It's literally make those spot throws when you can, lead the offense down the field, boom, you're doing your job. And that's what JJ was asked to do. Herbert made that leap in the NFL, and who's to say that JJ won't? We see a lot of teams. I mean, literally, the Niners are doing what Michigan did: run the ball well, play good defense, have Brock Purdy limit those mistakes, limit down the field. And Brock Purdy is a good quarterback. Yeah, JJ McCarthy, he's good. He's fine. But I think we'll move on to the Giants now. And Tom, you're up.
Yeah. So if JJ McCarthy was available, I would have highly considered that. I think that's something that they're definitely looking into, and they might be that team on draft day to move up. Now that he's out of the picture, I think they're going to select Malik Neighbors here. Again, they got room to work with in their wide receiver room. Malik Neighbors, I think, is a blue chip prospect, as I've just mentioned before, and I think he's going to be a very big addition to help maybe recover Daniel Jones's career. And again, maybe they're going to move on from him anyways, but you got to get a guy who's dynamic with the ball in his hands, and the Giants just don't have a guy like that right now. Jalen Hyatt's a field stretcher, but he's not a get the ball in his hands and let him go and do his thing. So he's kind of limited to what he can do. Malik Neighbors can do everything. So I think it's a home run pick for the Giants.
Yeah, Neighbors. It's him and Odunze. So for me, it's the 2A, 2B. And whatever you like more, I mean, whatever you want to add to your scheme. I actually think the Chargers, you said you like Malik Neighbors, but I think the Chargers would be better off with Odunze. He reminds me so much of Stephon Diggs when I watch him. And people say Jamar, or who are they comping Odunze to? I see a lot of
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. I see
I've seen Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, yeah. Well, I like to compare him to Diggs. I think they have this basically the exact same route tree, but I mean Neighbors is explosive. I mean he's gonna have some 75-yard touchdowns for sure. And he can track the football really well, right over the shoulder, drop it in the bucket. I mean, as long as the quarterback's hitting him in the hands, we don't know who's gonna throw it to him yet. So I mean, if he gets a guy like Daniel Jones, I don't know how productive he's going to be year one, but we'll see. So I'm on the clock. I think.
Who did the Giants bring in for their backup QB?
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah.
competition for Daniel Jones, but yeah, that's yeah.
Yep.
Uh yeah, Titans on the clock.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with Joe Alt. I think he's by far the best player left on the board. And the Titans need O-line help and need to get younger there. So um it's just this pick that makes the most sense to me. If Joe Alt is available at 7, I think that's just you call it in, and it's the easiest pick of the night. So yeah, I'm going Joe Alt.
Yeah, I don't think this is I think this is the pick that everyone's had mocked like for months now is the Titans taking an offensive lineman at 7, especially with the moves that they made in free agency. Like maybe they could get Romo Dunze, go a little bit younger at the wide receiver position, but that offensive line is so bad. You need basically, I mean, they got Skronsky, they signed Lloyd Cushenberry, but you need 2 tackles. Joe Alt is the best one on the board. Him next to Skronsky on that left side of the line will be a sight to be seen. It's not a sexy pick, but it's the pick that the Titans need to make right now for their seemingly playoff push that they're trying to do right now. They've had a weird off season in my opinion, but yeah, Alt is the easy, simple pick there. Okay. Falcons are on the board. And Spills, I will give you the option here as the Bolts fan here to trade up from 11
No, don't
to
need it.
8 to draft Romo Doomsday. You're not interested?
No.
Okay, then I am having the Jacksonville Jaguars trade up
Okay.
from 17 to number, and we'll say 17, a first next year, and I don't know, like a 4th round pick. Either way,
Yeah.
just force the trade.
We'll,
It is
we'll
what
put
it is.
we'll put pick
Jags are on the
114.
clock.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, the Jags are a team that need to get Trevor Lawrence a legit number 1 guy. We've seen the ebbs and flows of Lawrence, and he's had some real high highs. Tom, you've experienced that firsthand. And he's had some low lows. Get him. Ridley was supposed to be his number 1. Didn't work out. Romo Dunze, I mean, we've talked about Marv. We talked about Neighbors. Romo Dunze is just as good as those two, in my opinion. There's not a route that he doesn't run well. He's physical. He does everything that you want in a wide receiver. Yeah, I don't think I need to really explain the pick that much, but get Trevor as number 1 guy. Simple as that.
I've
Romo
seen
Dunze.
this
Mac
like
Jones
in a
is number
couple
1
mocks.
guy.
Sorry? Oh, Mac Jones is going to win the
He's number
job.
1
Yeah.
guy.
I forgot he was there. Yeah, no, I've definitely seen a couple mocks now where they have the Jags moving up. So I don't hate it, especially since they do have some capital. And again, like Odunze like does everything on the field, and you know what? He works really hard and he really, really wants it too. So I think he's just a very good culture guy to have on that team there. And again, he'll be I think that's also a home run trade up and pick that for the Jags there. I'm a fan of that. Why I said no for the Chargers to do that necessarily. If you're deciding to trade back, I'm not doing the wiggle around the board kind of thing. Let's pick up the assets and go from there, and then find the right guys at the right spot.
Fair enough.
Chicago.
Hey, the Bears are on the clock.
Yeah. So what am I gonna do with Chicago here? I'm going to let me see my trade options. Anyone falling down? There's not a guy that I really see that's worth trading up for right now. So I'm gonna stick and pick. I'm gonna go with my top edge in the class, Jared Verse. I think Chicago wants to build the edge with again those long bendy guys versus production machine, and I think he's going to fit really well in that defense opposite of Sweat there. So again, I've seen Verse go top 10. I've seen Verse go in the back end of the first round. It's really this edge group is all over the place. It's really how you see a player fitting on your team. So
Hmm.
I think that's the pick here. I don't hate corner either, but I just can't isolate the guy that I'd want in Chicago. So I think Verse is a strong pick for the Bears here.
Yeah, Jared Verse, my number one edge.
See, I like Jared Verse. That's the thing. I think all like Dallas Turner, Leatu Latu, Jared Verse, they're all like 1A, 1B, 1C. I don't think there's really much separating them, even though they're all completely different players. I think Verse definitely has the highest floor of the bunch. And again, his ceiling is also like high, but I think Turner and Latu have the higher ceilings. I don't know. Verse is a monster. You like he's huge. He will set the edge. If he sets his feet in the run game, like it's hard to knock him off his spot. Yeah, and him and Sweat, that is a great edge tandem for the Bears. Bears could be a force next year. Uh, the Jets are up. The Jets are up on the clock.
All right, I got the Jets. They're definitely going to be
Yes,
looking at
sir.
receiver. They want to get somebody to throw it to down the field other than Garrett Wilson. I mean, Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb was a cute story last year, but they didn't get the job done. So
They got
I'm
they
going
got Mike
Brian
Williams
Thomas.
now. Come on.
Oh, there you go,
Ooh.
Mike. Whoop,
Oh,
I'm gone. Oh well. Well, I'm gonna pick
he
Brian
didn't like
Thomas.
the Mike Williams disrespect.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Brian
Brian
Thomas
Thomas
Jr.
actually sneaks into the top 10 and goes to the Jets. So a nice little receiver downfield for Aaron Rodgers. Hopefully, he's still got the arm strength. And the Jets add another weapon to their arsenal and go all in for next year.
So I find it interesting you went with Brian Thomas Jr. I know you've always obviously talked very, very highly of him. To me, Brock Bowers would have been the play here. They need a tight end. Brock Bowers is awesome. But I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., like him, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, that is a tremendous trio. I still have no idea what Mike Williams is really going to be this year. I think he's just the new age Devontae Parker. There's nothing really wrong about that. But yeah, the Jets, it would have been obvious for them to take offensive line. They seem to have fixed all of that relatively. I mean, just paid a bunch of vets to come in there and fill the holes. But yeah, they need pass catchers. And Brian Thomas Jr. is one of the best ones in this class. I think he would be the number one receiver in last year's class, but that's just how strong this group of wide receivers is this year. Well, I am up, and the Chargers are on the clock, and I get to make my favorite pick. And the Bolts are picking Talais Fuaga to man their right tackle spot.
Timeout.
The charge. Yes,
I'm
hello,
back.
Tom.
Sorry,
Welcome
my
back.
my
Yeah.
once an episode technical difficulties. Luckily, it happened early enough. Just to plug in the pick here, who did we take? Brian Thomas.
Yep.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah. Yeah, so Chargers are up, and I'm taking Talisa Fuaga, tackle. He will play that right tackle spot. That is what he played in college. And that gives the Bolts Rashawn Slater on the left side. Oh, he left again. Rashawn Slater on the left side, Fuaga on the right side. Those are your bookend tackles, hopefully for the next decade, hopefully for as long as Herbert is a Charger. Yeah, they need help. They need help on the offensive line. They need help basically everywhere. And with Brian Thomas Jr. off the board, it's way too early to take one of these other guys right now. So they take the best offensive lineman, in my opinion, still available in Fuaga.
Yeah, I like the O-line pick for the Chargers. I actually think there's a chance that they draft Joe Alt. I mean, well, do I think it's gonna happen? Maybe not, but I mean, there is a chance. I'm sure they've looked into drafting Joe Alt in the first round, and O-line is gonna help them run that Harbaugh offense smoothly. So you can't go wrong with two cornerstone tackles when you got Slater already there. So I mean, the Lions did it, and the Lions are rolling pretty good now. So.
No,
Denver's
completely
gonna be
agree.
Tom. Denver's gonna be Tom, or is it gonna be me? Yeah, it's gonna be Tom.
Well, it is Tom, but we'll just keep going.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
waiting for him to get back, and he can pick whenever he gets back.
All right. So
This Broncos pick is also always like I don't know what to mock them here.
yeah.
Like they need a lot, but they also like the way the board falls. They also like it is what it is. Either way, your pick. You're up.
Um. All right. Well, I'm thinking the Broncos would trade back here then. Um,
I like
I'm
that.
looking. I'm looking for somebody.
You want to move back? No, never mind. I
All right,
I
I'm
was
gonna
gonna say
trade
that.
up. Okay, look, I'm just gonna do something ballsy because the Bengals gotta get going here with Joe Burrow and Chase and get that championship window in. So they're gonna
Okay,
trade up, and they're gonna trade up with Denver. And the
you're
reason
taking
they're
Brock
trading up
Bowers.
with Denver is Brock Bowers. Yeah, and then they can
Yeah,
just they
yeah.
get him. Yeah, and then that really puts them in a spot where they can thrive. So I'm thinking that's what's gonna happen. Is we got Cincy trading up with Denver, and Denver's trading down because they don't want to reach for a quarterback at 12. In my mind.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Again, I don't like them taking Bo Nix or a Michael Penix here. I think it's a little early for both of those guys. And yeah, the trade back is the right thing to do. Tom, what you missed, the Bengals have just taken Brock Bowers with a
At
trade with the
12.
Broncos
Okay,
at
I like
12.
that.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
It,
But yeah, the Bengals getting Bowers is, I mean, they've needed a tight end for ever, basically, since Burrow has been there. I don't think this maybe tough
What's
to
the
say. I don't think
compensation?
that they move. I don't
First
know.
and first
What's
and a
the call?
second.
whatever the draft board says.
All right,
Yeah, I think a 1 and a 2.
yeah.
Sure, that
We'll
sounds
give him. We'll give him
right.
49. Okay, done.
Cool. Uh yeah, like I think that this adds a new level to this Bengals offense. Brock Bowers is also a good run blocker, will help that offensive line, which has been piss poor. Like, it's just a big win for the Bengals if this ends up happening. I don't know if it does, but Bowers is phenomenal. Like the other
Yeah,
guys, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about him,
yeah. So I was
if
gonna say
any.
for the Broncos, like if I'm not making a pick at quarterback here, even though they're pretty desperate for one, this team just needs a lot of good football players, and they could. I mean, they could also just easily just take Bowers themselves because they need good football players. I would have
Yep.
considered Dallas Turner here as well for the Broncos, but I do think that that's the piece that the Bengals offense does need, and they're in a position to trade up. And again, Denver needs assets, so I'm
Hmm.
good with that trade up there and
There you
selection.
go. And you are on the board now with the Raiders at 13.
Okay, no, wouldn't it be Chew?
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
just go
he
back
just
into the
picked.
order. Yeah.
Oh, you just we
Sure.
narrow
I
swap.
cooked that up for you, Tom.
Okay, if you cooked it up, sure. Raiders are on the board. Um, this is Tom Telesco's first pick as a Raider, and he's bound to make it a dumb one. Um, however, I look at the remaining players, and you know what? I see. And again, this is first pick for Pierce, and he's going to continue wanting to build his defense. I think the offense will come, but I think he wants to continue adding on for that ferocious defense. Uh, give me Terry and Arnold. I have them as my corner one. Um, I think that's, and again, I don't think that's the way they're going to go. Telesco, again, like I said, we'll just find a way to make a stupid pick. But I think Arnold is no, corner number one, and I think he'd be a good fit in that defense.
Yeah,
Aggressive,
I got.
man coverage. He's the top man guy in the draft, so I think he fits in that scheme well.
Yeah, I mean, if if Jack Jones doesn't do some stupid shit this offseason, him, Arnold, and then that defensive line that they've built, if Tyree Wilson does take that next step, that looks like a very, very good defense on paper. Obviously, a lot can happen. The Raiders still need a lot on the offensive side of the ball, but that defense looks nice anyways.
And Jack Jones could get invited to a Diddy party, and it's finished.
I mean,
oh, that would be, would not shock me.
I mean, yeah.
So is it me now? If we're
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
going,
you
okay.
and then me.
All right, Saints are on the clock. The Saints are still stuck in 2019. It is what it is. Their roster is piss poor. It's just aging and aging. They basically need to get younger everywhere. But let's start with the offensive line because that is the trenches. You build the trenches first. They are taking Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Plug and play at tackle. Very good player. Like, the Saints just need help on the offensive line. They drafted Trevor Penning a couple years ago. He's done nothing. So they got to replace him. Olu's the guy. Again, offensive lineman, not sexy picks. Not a lot to really talk about, but the man looks to be a building block for any team in the league. So he's going to the Saints.
Again, early in the process, like, he was touted as a for sure top 10 player. Again, phenomenal pass blocker. Does need work in the run game there, but there's no issues with that pick. And again, they need to fix that O line up. So it's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, in Indianapolis.
Yes, sir.
15. I think they're pretty excited that Quinyon Mitchell has fallen all the way to them.
Yes, they are.
And to me, he's my corner one. I have him a little above Arnold. He reminds me a lot of Witherspoon. He's the same type of player, just ball hawk and good tackler, does everything well. So I'm going Quinyon, 15 to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think that Chris Ballard, his track record has proven that he likes drafting players with the physical tools. Quinyon Mitchell has all of that. I mean, I think he's 6'1", ran a 4.3. He's my number one corner in the class too. Colts need a corner. It seems like an easy fit. I think they were one of the teams that tried to trade for Snead. So they've realized they have their own needed corner. Quinyon Mitchell, yeah, great pick.
I thought I was back on the clock there, but anyways, that worked out because I was going to take Mitchell anyways. So
there you go.
Very good.
There you go.
Okay, Seahawks.
Hawks.
I really like a player for them here, but I think Dallas Turner has fallen a little too much. So again, maybe not necessarily a need right now, or not a glaring need. I think Fautanu, however you say his name, he's a very versatile O-line, and he can play literally anywhere, and they need help on the O-line. So
yeah,
I could lean for him, but I'm going to go with Dallas Turner just because I think he's just fallen too far down the board here. I don't think he has any business being available at 16, so that's the pick.
Yeah, the Atlanta Falcons are tremendously pissed off because that easily would have been the next pick, and that's who I would have picked at 8 if they stayed at that pick. So the fact that he fell all the way to 16 is crazy, but yeah, the Seahawks, like, you can't pass on a guy who should be a top 10 pick or is a top 10 player on most boards. Yeah, that's a great pick for the Seahawks.
All right, who we got next? So
Wellesley, then I'll go, and then we're back on the normal rotation.
Now it's shit. Okay, well, you stole Dallas Turner for me, which I'm pissed off about, but do I take Latu? Do I take another defender here? Do I just take a wide receiver and say fuck it because they kind of need a wide receiver too? Yeah, let's you know what? I'm going to take Byron Murphy here. Byron Murphy out of Texas, the big defensive tackle. I think he probably will be a top 20 pick. But I think putting him next to Grady Jarrett on the interior, they will wreak havoc, however you say it. For a lot of these bad NFC South offensive lines. Yeah, I just think it's more of a fun pick. I don't think I've had Murphy mock to Atlanta, so why not do it now?
Yeah, that's a definitely interesting fit. I think do they still have Calais Campbell? And then
That's kind of what I just thought of that, and
but
I
that's
was like,
okay. Like he's
that
old.
might not be a
He's old.
great pick.
So you're gonna need
He's old.
to
He's
fill him
old.
in anyways. You can never have enough like defensive interior players. I know they also just signed Eddie Goldman out of retirement like 2 hours ago. But again, like
Yeah.
it's still a good defensive player that probably doesn't need to be there at 17. So good pick.
Calais Campbell not on the roster currently.
Not on the roster, just a free agent.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So there you go. Good pick.
Broncos. Um, I have a player that has shot up my draft board, but they already have a player in the similar build already on the rosters, so I'm not going to take him here. What I am going to do, like I was saying before, they just need good football players, and whether he has a position or not, Cooper DeJean is a very, very good football player. I think he can play safety, he can play corner, he can play possibly linebacker to a certain extent. They can use him in the return game. He's a chess piece. So I think that's going to be the pick for them here. Again, I know there was some injury concerns. He just got cleared, but I have him as my top player available on the board, and they just need to get good football players on that team because the ponies are looking pretty nasty for next year. So that's my pick, Cooper DeJean.
Yeah. I love Cooper DeJean. Like, obviously, he's the next great white corner. We haven't seen one of those since Jason Sehorn. But if you as a coordinator, if you can't
You're cutting out.
make a
You're
guy
cutting out.
like
You're
Cooper
cutting
DeJean
out.
work in the NFL, I fucking hate my internet.
I don't know if it's the internet.
Still not
Replug your thing. Replug your headset. It sounds like it's like almost not
my
connected.
okay. Was that my?
Go now.
Is it? Yeah,
Much better. Much
kind of,
better.
yeah.
Much better.
Cool. So yeah, what I was saying with Cooper DeJean.
Anyway, just go.
Whatever, it is what it is. Yeah, if you're a defensive coordinator, if you can't get a guy like Cooper DeJean to work who can literally play any position in the secondary and maybe even some linebacker, like that's a you issue. I think like the man's a football player, the man's a good football player. I don't know how great he'll be at the next level, but he's an NFL player. Like that's an easy, you plug and play, boom, you're good.
Yeah, I mean he's a playmaker, so you can never go wrong with a playmaker that also has the traits and the athleticism to back it up. So good pick. With the Rams, they could go a lot of different ways here. They do need a lot of help. I'm gonna go with Jerzon Newton and just throw somebody in the middle there to replace Aaron Donald. Um, he started off as one of the top defensive players in the draft. He's fallen a little bit because that's what happens with D tackles usually, unless they're like Derek Brown. But yeah, I think Jerzon Newton is a good pick here for the Rams. Just get a solid player in there.
That's becoming an immediate need, right? With Donald on his way out. So that's
Yep.
pretty good plug and play right there.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's definitely some debate on who's the better defensive tackle. Is it Byron Murphy? Is it Johnny Newton? Really a toss-up. They're both kind of undersized. I think Newton's the better pass rusher, which obviously Aaron Donald was just phenomenal at everything, but at least you do get that little bit of a pass rush upside from the start. Yeah, I am on the clock with the Steelers. The question is, do I leave a player for the Dolphins just to do it, or do I take the best guy
Well,
available?
I'm picking for the
And
Dolphins,
I'm just
and
gonna.
I'm not picking who you want to
You
pick.
are.
So
Oh,
no,
I know. Um, I'm going to take Amarius Mims out of Georgia. Pair him again with Broderick Jones, who was their left tackle they drafted from Georgia last year. And obviously, the problem with Mims is he's only played 8 games. I think that's the number. So health concerns are his issue, but he is a freak. His tape when he does play is excellent. It's just you got to be concerned about his ability to be on the field. But I think Steelers need help on the offensive line, and I think Mims solves one of those tackle spots anyways. So Amarius Mims out of Georgia.
all right. Yeah, no, I think that's a very good pick. He fits that Steeler brand of football that they want to play, just having those big lads on the O line. So I think it's a good pick. And yeah, Drew, anything to add before I just steal the show here with this pick?
I'm giving you the floor, Tom.
All right. This is just going to
There we go.
this is going to break the NFL. Xavier Worthy is a Miami Dolphin. Again,
I'm fine with it. That's whatever. Yep.
doesn't fit
Completely.
necessarily what they need right now, but just adding another speed burner. Again, Tyreek is at the top of his game. Jalen Waddle is again right there. Uh, adding another piece like Worthy to just absolutely throw everyone off and give that offense just another added dimension. I think he's just shooting up boards. I was going to consider him for the Broncos at 18. I just think they already have Mims who kind of fits that kind of skill set, so they don't necessarily need two smaller players that are just speed burners. But I do think Worthy's gonna, when it's all said and done, I think he's gonna be a top 20 pick. I don't even think he'll be here for the Dolphins at 21. I think he could be a top 15 pick. Uh, Jahmyr Gibbs again, like last year, I don't think anyone had him really going in the top 15. I think he had again a lot of good testing, and he just ended up being a top 15 pick. But Worthy will find himself in the top 20 when it comes to draft day. So I'm just gonna add Worthy to the Dolphins and make everyone sick in the AFC.
I like it.
That would be fucked. Giving us 3 guys on the actually 4 guys, 5 guys. I don't know. We'd have the fastest team with Tyreek, Waddle, Worthy, Achane, Mostert, like speed on speed on speed. I don't mind the pick. We need a wide receiver 3 for this year. Obviously, we have way bigger needs to address, but you can't knock the guy who runs a 4-2-1. And honestly, if we're Tyreek, I'm fine if we cut him this time next year. Like we have an out in his contract. The man's a nutcase. Obviously he's still one of the best receivers in football, but like if we have a succession plan with Xavier Worthy, with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek becomes a little expendable at that point, which is crazy to say because he is top 2 receiver in football right now. But yeah, Xavier Worthy, luxury pick, definitely the pick, but I like it.
I hope you cut him.
Like again,
sure
and
you
they
do.
might run
I'm
into
sure you
cap
do.
problems again. They were already in cap problems this year. They're gonna have to
Yeah.
pay their quarterback. You know, if you were gonna mess around with the Chargers pick at 5, I was taking Penix here, but you didn't. So good on you. Um, and then again, like Fatanu's just sitting there. Again, he's a very athletic offensive lineman, which fits that scheme. Again, just being able to get out on those swing blocks, move in space. He would have been an excellent fit. And probably a better value.
That would have been my pick.
Fatanu's a very good pick, but I just again thinking into the future of what this team wants to do. I think Worthy just fits that kind of offense. They're the best, and they'll get the best out of them. Okay,
Yeah.
22.
22 Philly. I'm gonna go with an edge rusher for Philly.
Ooh,
Just
that's
replace Hassan Reddick.
kind of smelly.
What are you talking about? They just
They
traded
already did
Hassan
that.
Reddick.
They got Bryce Huff.
And who else?
They all just signed Bryce Huff.
They have
And who
Nolan
else?
Then they got
Smith.
Brandon, Nolan Smith,
Nolan
Josh
Smith.
Sweat, Brandon Graham.
What did
Those are the
what
four.
did Nolan Smith do?
Red shirt, basically.
Oh yeah.
Nolan Smith was good at the end of the last year.
Well, I'm gonna get an
He
immediate
was getting more. He was getting more
I'm
involved.
gonna get
Either
an
way,
immediate upgrade at edge rusher for Philly and get Darius Robinson, who's gonna be a plug and play player, great against the run, great in the pass rush, just an all around great player who's getting overlooked in the draft and had a great day at the combine as well. So I'm gonna go with Darius Robinson. And sorry, Nolan Smith, you're gonna have to redshirt again.
You know what? That like I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a pick like that because that's just such a Howie Roseman pick to just attack the trenches, right? And they add edge rushers every year. So again, I like Robinson or Darius Robinson. I think he's a very good player, and
Mhm.
Brandon Graham doesn't have a million years left. They'll continue just adding to this room regardless. So
yeah, yeah. No, I was like, okay, the Eagles are on the clock. Boom, Nate Wiggins is there. What an easy plug and play. Like they need a corner, and then you said you're going edge, and I'm like, okay,
You want
this
Nate
is obviously a spot for Leatu Latu.
you think
What?
Nate Wiggins
Nate
can guard
Wiggins?
CeeDee Lamb? Forget that.
I don't even have Nate Wiggins in my next three corners personally, but
It is what it is. The man. Either way, the Eagles need drastic help in their secondary. I thought that would have been the lean. Then we decided to go edge, and I was like, okay, Latu's still on the board. Nice, but Darius Robinson is truly, I mean, I think he's great. I think he can play any spot on the defensive line. He's very versatile. Just not the name that I was expecting for the Eagles to get mocked here, but that's why we do these because I would have never done that in a million. Yeah, okay, Chargers on the board.
again,
I feel,
what do you Chargers at
like
5 and 11 and 23? Jeez.
well, not at 5.
Well, you would have had him at 5, and you traded back with them to make him 11 and 23.
Well,
which I guess
yeah,
that works out in this format. So, and I proceed.
yeah. Do I see? This is the thing. I could just take Nate Wiggins here and be like Wiggins and Asante Samuel. I don't really like those two working together. I think Wiggins has lower ceiling, but the Chargers need a wide receiver because they don't have any on the roster right now, basically. So I'm AD Mitchell isn't in my like top 7 guys, but I'm gonna mock AD Mitchell here to open up the field. Again, I'm not a fan of it either, but like I like AD Mitchell. I see the appeal, but I also he takes a lot of plays off, and obviously college is different from the NFL. You can't take plays off in the NFL or you will be cut. But he has all the talent to be a number 1 guy. Some people think he's a top 4 receiver in the class. I don't know about that, but AD Mitchell to the Bolts.
I like AD Mitchell a lot, actually. I thought about him a little bit earlier. I actually thought about him for Philly, but thought Howie Roseman would probably just want to boost up the pass rush again. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, AD Mitchell.
I think he's going to be a good
player.
player. I don't think he's a good scheme fit for what they're trying to do. Again, we'll see. Maybe they can get the most out of him. I mean, the way the board fell here, there's still some very good tackles on the board. So in hindsight, it would have been nice to get Bowers at 11 and then have a look at a tackle here. But no, I think Mitchell would be good. But if I'm taking a receiver here, just for what this offense is going to look like, in my eyes at least, I would have probably gone with McConkey first. I think he could be that kind of player. Again, might be a little bit early, but it's okay. AD Mitchell, you're a Bolt. Let's go. Cowboys. Um,
This has to be Fotano.
like yeah. Um, I just think like it'd be so Cowboys to take a guy like Tyler Guyton, who's just a physical specimen, that kind of just fits their build. I'm not going to do it though, just because Fatanu shouldn't be here at 24. So I am going to go with Fatanu here at 24. I think he's just fallen too far down the board, and again gives him that flexibility if they ever require along the O line. So Fatanu is the pick for the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm. The man is great. He can play all 5 offensive line positions. If he would have got picked at the Dolphins pick at 21, which I would have done, he would have been an immediate plug and play guard and then take over that tackle spot next year because I think he can play tackle. But yeah, the Cowboys need help in the trenches. Fotano helped him with that. Packers on the clock.
On the board.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the Packers, they're gonna stick with Jordan Love for sure. They got a good receiver room, some good depth in the receiver room. So they're probably gonna go trenches, as well. And I mean J.C. Latham, the upside. Who knows, right? A lot of these tackles are boom or bust. But I'm gonna go J.C. Latham. Some people love him, some people hate him. Um, let's go with the Packers love him and take him off the board here.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good pick. I think again another player that's fallen down the board, but that's always going to happen because some teams make luxury picks, some teams pick for needs over who the best player really is. So I think that's a home run pick for the Packers at 25. Or
Yeah, the Packers just need help on that offensive line. Latham comes in, probably you start him at left tackle immediately now that Bakhtiari's gone. But again, offensive line, it's never a sexy pick, but it's the pick that a lot of teams need. Buccaneers are on the clock, and they need edge help. Now that Shaq Barrett is gone, and Leatu Latu has fallen far enough. He is a Buccaneer. I think it's just simple. I think he's a top 20 player in this class. The Bucks need help on defense. I mean, the Bucks just need a lot of help in general, but I can't let Latu keep falling like this. So Latu to the Bucks.
no,
Yeah,
good
just
pick.
injury concern there. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't really mess around with next. You look, seen what happened.
Yeah.
Leighton Vander Esch had to retire this offseason due to the same type of injury that Latu's already gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just taking a risk, but as you said, he's a great talent. So.
I think he's the same kind of like prospect
Mm-hmm.
in my eyes as Jalen Phillips. Similar build. Again, I think they're both really talented from a pass rushing standpoint. He's got great hands. So that's a good pick for the Bucks. Cardinals. So I think if the Cardinals were a team to do that trade back earlier in the draft, this is a really good spot for AD Mitchell. I think he fits that offense. However, he's not on the board anymore. I'm going to pivot. Again, they're picking early in the second again, and I do like the way the board is falling for the offensive lineman, so I'm going to wait on that. I do think they can get their another shut down corner here, and it's not going to be Nate Wiggins, who is atop a lot of people's boards. I'm going to go all the way down to TJ Tampa. I think he will end up being a first round pick when it's all said and done. Guy's just clamps, and I think he's well deserving of being a first round pick. So I'm going to go with TJ Tampa.
Yeah, that's not someone that we see mocked a lot in first round or in mock drafts, but he has been a climber basically since the combine. I don't know if he participated in the combine, but I started hearing his name around the combine, and yeah, he's just been a riser the entire draft process. Wouldn't shock me if he is taken in the first round. Yeah, the Cardinals just need a lot of help. So yeah, they get a good corner.
I think the Bills are probably pretty excited that a guy that was a great corner for Bama, and they're probably their number one corner over Terry and Arnold, who was the first corner off the board. I think Buffalo runs in and says they're going to go with Kool-Aid McKinstry, the best name in football, and he's fallen far enough. He goes to Buffalo and replaces Trey White.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah. Go, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean, his big knock going into like the draft process was, oh, does he have the athleticism? Does he have the speed? He ended up running in the 4.5s at his pro day. I think that's what Arnold ran at the combine. So immediately erases any questions for me. Yeah, he's great. And the Bills need a completely new secondary essentially. So yeah, cool going off the board here is a good pick.
We got Detroit.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. Well, seeing as that the Lions starting corner is going to prison, Nate Wiggins is still on the board, so Nate Wiggins is the pick here. Could have gone on the defense, could have gone with like a Chop Robinson to pair opposite Aiden Hutchinson, but the Lions just need help at the cornerback position. I do like Nate Wiggins. I do think he has a high ceiling. I think his floor is relevant. I can't pass him up here for the Lions. So Nate Wiggins to the Lions.
There we go. He sneaks into the first.
Getting a run here on cornerback.
Yeah, a lot of corners right at the end here. Again, I'm a little lower on Nate Wiggins. But again, very, very athletic player. Again, I think he was also a high 4.2 guy, or maybe low 4.3. So again, very, 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 very fast, and see if they can coach him up and fit him into that tough Lions defense. Baltimore Ravens here at 30. I'm looking at some of these players left, and again, this is just like if I'm Carolina, I'm not taking the chance of the Chiefs maybe taking a receiver here. I know they just signed Hollywood Brown, but I do want to jump them. I know it's only 2 picks. So if I'm the Panthers, I'm giving up a late 4th round pick. Want to pick 101 here just to move up a couple spots to secure Ladd McConkey. That's the kind of player that Bryce Young needs. Just a do it all, get the ball in his hands, let him do the work. So I think the Panthers, they don't have the assets to really move up and make a big splash, but just something small like this to secure a receiver like McConkey, I think is a move they want to make here. So I'm doing a trade out for the Ravens here back into the second round and picking up an extra 4th.
Yeah, I mean, Ladd is one of my favorite wide receivers in this draft. I think that he just gets open. He's a great route runner. And yeah, the Panthers couldn't really wait to sit around. Hopefully that one of these wide receivers go there. Ladd and Adam Thielen, though, is it's an interesting duo. Oh, we lost Chew.
We did.
Regardless, we got 2 picks left. I guess I'll go for the Niners here.
Mm-hmm.
Niners, they need help at corner. They need kind of some offensive line help. Well, his laptop died, so he's probably just done. I'm gonna go with Ennis Rakestraw Jr. out of Mizzou. Again, one of these corners who has just risen up the draft process. I've seen him in some round 1 mocks. yeah, the Niners just need corner help. He will come in and hopefully immediately add to that secondary. I was also thinking maybe Graham Barton here, but I like Rakestraw better at this point.
No, I think
Flashier pick.
yeah, Rakestraw is going to be a good corner in the NFL. Again, I kind of have him similar with TJ Tampa, same kind of player. Um, he'll be a clamp down guy. He's ferocious and gritty, so that's a very good pick there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Last pick.
Kansas City. So they I think would have gone with McConkey there, and that would have been a really good fit.
Hmm.
They can always just look to continue adding to their O line or their D line because I think trenches is where they're going to end up going here. Um, I think it's a little rich for Keon Coleman. I'm high on him, but I don't think he's going to end up being a first round pick when it's all said and done. And I don't necessarily think that's the kind of guy that fits into this Chiefs offense. I think they'll find a guy a little later on. Um, so with that being said, I do think just because of his traits, again, I know he's raw talent. They don't need him to play right away. Just to give him flexibility at the position at a later time. I think Tyler Guyton is going to be the pick here. Just to maybe not play right away or slide in a different spot. Maybe he's not a tackle, but we'll see. I mean, they just signed last year. What's that guy's name? Jawan Taylor, who's
Yeah.
just taking penalties every game. So I don't know how long he's going to last, and he's kind of underwhelmed as far as I'm concerned for that price tag.
Hmm.
So maybe they start looking at a succession option, and they'll continuously need flexibility with the cap. So I think Tyler getting a good project to start building on and could be a good tackle for the Chiefs for years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at their depth chart right now. They got some dude named Wanya Morris, who is currently their starting left tackle. So, yeah, it would be good if Tyler Garden can sit, learn kind of thing, but seems like he has a
Path to play right
track
away.
immediately. Yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, the Chiefs, it would have been nice for them to take wide receiver, especially now that Rashee Rice, we don't know what the fuck's happening with that. But yeah, that'll do it for the mock draft. Tom, thank you again for coming on. Chu, you're not here, but thank you also. Any final thoughts until we leave it here?
No, I'm excited. Draft month is fun. It's going to get a lot of rumors going to be flying in the next couple of weeks, and
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see what goes down. I do anticipate there possibly being a pre-draft trade that will shake up the order once again. We already got one from the Vikings. I do think there could be another one. Um, it's hard to say. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a team in the top 10, but uh, you never know. So maybe Jacksonville just really wants to secure that high pick and makes a move and gets up in there regard like ahead of draft time. Um,
Yep.
but you never know. So we'll see what happens and draft month's fun.
Cool. I will end it here then. If you have liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.